Hello, my loves. Welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day or night, whatever it is when you're watching this video. Today, I have an amazing special guest, my mom, Trina Hall.
Hi.
She has an amazing story about seeing her mom at the hospital. So if any of you are wondering on if your loved ones are still with you on the other side during special moments like weddings or births, this story is sure to touch your heart. And I know that our hospital ghost stories have been doing really well. You guys have been enjoying it. So I wanted to have another person saying their experiences with a ghost story at a hospital. So if that interests you, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell if you want to get notified when I upload my next video, and continue watching.
Okay, so you know about my daughter, how she has like spiritual gifts and sees things. Well, I do too. Like
So
that's
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
So I've been knowing things and seeing things like since I was 10 years old, and my mom had the same kind of thing, and same with my grandmother. So that's as far back as I do know. So yeah, when I was 10, I knew for some reason that I was going to have, like, I was at my grandmother's house and we were watching like Price is Right. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the day when you watch Price is Right and Young and the Restless with your grandma. But I remember the moment just like it was yesterday, and I knew I was going to have two girls. I knew I was going to write a book, and I knew I was going to win the lottery. And for a 10-year-old, you're not really thinking about kids and you're not thinking about even writing a book. Maybe writing a book, because I was writing, but definitely not the lottery. It's just something that kind of came down to me, like downloads. And that was the first time I kind of remember having these downloads, and then it's been ever since. Mm-hmm. And just so you know, I have two girls, and I did write a book, and I did win the lottery. I won the Encore, like $5,000. I had 5 out of the 6 numbers right. I also won like $500, the church raffle thing. I don't know if that's counted. I thought it was going to be bigger than that, but I think it counts.
Yeah, I think it does count too.
Right. So just so you know where this is all kind of coming from, and that it is, I think it does come like hereditary or something. Or maybe it's just that my mom was open to letting me see things and not making me feel like I was crazy. You know, and then I do the same thing to you.
I definitely think that's a huge factor, is when you feel accepted and you feel like your parents aren't judging those kind of things, those experiences that you're having.
And that's important if you are trying to enhance your spiritual gifts, is, having a support system. And, you know, don't question your intuition or what you're knowing, because sometimes you go back and you go against it and you're like, I knew it, and I should have done this. But always trust your gut instinct.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I guess you guys want to hear the story. Well, my mom was in the delivery room when both Jasmine and Brooklyn, my 2 daughters, were born. So she was alive for that. And then my sisters, when they had their kids, my mom already had passed. So I was in the delivery room with my one sister, and she was having my niece, and it was October 12th. And it was in Oakville, and I got there, I'm not sure around what time, but maybe around 5 in the morning, and then I'm like, okay, I had to work at 9 in Cambridge, so I thought, okay, maybe she'll have the baby and I'll come back to work. Like, I don't know why during that time. Well, still, I'm such a hard worker, and it's like I don't call in. But I thought, okay, I'll try to make the birth and then go to work. But what happened was my sister got induced at 8 o'clock. And the nurse said, okay, she's induced. It's going to happen quick. She's going to have the baby within an hour.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I work at 9. I'm in Oakville. I have to get to Cambridge, which is like maybe a 40-minute drive or something. So I'm like, okay, it's going to happen quick. Have it by 9. I'll just call my boss quickly. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm at the hospital. My niece is going to be born like by 9. I'll be there by 10. Right?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe you.
Yeah. I've done a lot of things because of work. Like, I don't know. I just kind of, I guess if I'm committed to something, I feel like I can't break a commitment. So, and also too, I was like the only one really at the office.
But I also find it funny how you're like, okay, so the plan is the baby will be definitely born by no later than this time. Well, that's what and I know. Yeah. But I just find that part funny.
Yeah. Well, the nurse said that, like, for sure, by 9. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. So time's going by, and I don't really know what time it was 'cause I'm not really looking, but because I'm just paying attention to the labor and my niece getting born, and I'm so excited because everybody's excited to be an aunt, especially when you're the first to have the kids, you know. But then I was looking at my sister, so she's in the hospital bed, and I'm like I'm right at the end of the bed. And then I see my mom, who's already have passed, but I see her at like the side of the bed, like right at the side. And then I'm like, oh no. Like, because I've always been like the black sheep of the family, like when it comes to like everyone else except for like the people that are kind of like us. And so I'm thinking, oh no, I can't tell them because I always see things or know things and they don't really get it that way. So I didn't want to say anything. So I see my mom and I just kind of kept it to myself. But from what I experience is when I get messages, like if I'm supposed to say something, it gets stronger and stronger and doesn't leave me alone until I say something. So what was happening was my mom's just staying there, and whoever has like these kind of gifts, like a lot of times you could just have this knowing, or it's telepathic, like it's not like they're speaking to you, it's like telepathic. Or sometimes you have downloads and you just know stuff. But in this instance, I'm seeing my mom and it's telepathic. We have a connection because I watched her, looked after her for 15 months while she's passing away. So we have this deep connection where we didn't ever have to talk to one another. And I'm sure if you have loved ones too, like, or even your partner, you get so connected. You just know each other's thoughts. You know what they're thinking, right? But she told me that my niece was going to be born at 12:13. And another thing with me, and Jasmine's done videos on this about numbers. You were saying about like certain numbers that show up.
Yeah.
Like 1111 is one. My grandmother passed away at 11/11, like November 11th. But 1213 is a huge number with my mom. So my mom passed away 12:13, so like 13 minutes after midnight on December 13th. So 12:13. So 12.
So that number definitely follows my family, us around all the time.
And 1111, but other numbers too, but those two primarily. And so I'm like, okay, so she passed away 12:13 on 12:13, like December 13th. And my mom's telling me my niece is going to be born at 12:13.
But I thought she was supposed to be born at 9 o'clock.
Before 9 o'clock, not even at 9 o'clock. So when it gets that strong, you just know, and there's no doubt, you know the answer, and you don't know how you know it. It doesn't make any sense. Because if you really think of it, if the nurse said, okay, for sure by 9 and it's 8 o'clock, even if I guessed 8:13, that's like 1 in 60 chance of guessing it, right? And then there's 9 o'clock, right? Then there's 10 o'clock. Then there's 11 o'clock. And now it's 12 o'clock. So it's way far. Like the chances of guessing the exact time is
Slimmer and slimmer as each hour goes by.
Especially when the nurse is saying for sure.
By 9.
Right. So because it was that strong and my mom won't leave the bedside and stuff until I give this message, I said to my sister, I said, Mom is standing right beside you. And keep in mind, before I was saying this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to say this, and then crazy Aunt Trina is never going to be able to babysit her niece or see her niece ever again. Because they're going to think I'm crazy, but so I was in this dilemma. But I'm like, okay, Mom is like right there behind you, right beside you, like, not behind, she was like beside. And she says that the baby's going to be born at 12:13. And I didn't notice this, but at the time, but I guess obviously the nurse was there, but the nurse, I felt the energy, like, was looking at me, like, kind of like, are you crazy? Did you not listen to me? Like I said, by 9. And I saw her look. But I was so focused on my mom, I didn't realize she was right there. And I went, oh, yeah. And, well, I guess you could know the end of the story. She was born at 12:13. And the nurse looked at me like, what? How did you know? And it's funny because when people don't want to believe things, sometimes they kind of like justify things. And I remember like I'd say the story and one of my sisters is like, she wasn't born at 12:13. And I'm like, yes, she was. It's on the birth certificate for 100% sure. But I'm like, oh, are you talking about, because the nurse was shocked. Are you talking about how one clock said 12:12 and one clock said 12:13. Because that was the only thing. And the nurse said, I'm using that clock, right?
The 12:13 clock, yeah.
Right. That's the only discrepancy. But let's say it was 12:12, which it wasn't. How close is that, right?
So close.
Yeah, but on the birth certificate it says 12:13 because one clock said that. And
that nurse must have been so shocked.
yeah. And I have lots of stories like that, and people kind of like to hear that because it's something that's kind of, you could validate. Like, you could look at the birth certificate and you could see it's 12:13. And that's why too, even though like a lot of people don't know how spiritual I am or the gifts I have because I don't really announce them. But
sorry, Mom.
That's okay. It's because I love my daughter.
I love my mom.
Yeah, I'm not a video person for sure, but I do love you.
I love you.
Yeah. And do you have any questions, or maybe the viewers?
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I also wanted to say that this can go for you as well. Our loved ones are with us during our big moments, our weddings, our births, whatever is a big moment for you, even if you're going through a hard time. So look for those signs. It could be something as simple as it's a huge cloudy day and then all of a sudden...
Well, there is that sign. Why don't you say that since we're on that topic?
Yeah, so when my mom was getting married, it was a snow blizzard. It was so cloudy, and right as she was like about to... You know the part when they say, you may kiss the bride. When they were kissing, the sun literally shone through like one of the...
windows?
Yeah, the stained glass windows right onto them. And I knew that was Bubby.
So my mom, she calls Bubby. Her name was Debbie, and then she couldn't say Debbie as a kid, so she called herself Bubby. And then my mom was a very young grandmother and didn't want to. She's 41 and didn't want to be called grandma, so they called her Bubby.
Yeah, so our loved ones do signs like that all the time that we just have to be open to looking and seeing and acknowledging them and saying thank you. And as you do that, they're like, yes, you're seeing our messages, and they'll do more and more for you.
So with my mom, for me, the sign, I don't know how this happens, but it happens, like my mom passed away like over 20 years ago now. So I kind of have a lot of stories like this that it's not an accident or a coincidence. And I don't believe in coincidences anyways, but I don't know what she does with the sun. But it could be cloudy and then the sun just shines at a certain moment. And when my mom passed away, she passed away, as you know, December 13th. But before she passed away, she told me, Trina, like, I came into this world with fireworks. She was born July 1st, which is Canada Day, which is, if you're American, it's like American Independence Day, like July 4th. So we have fireworks all the time. And she's like, I came into this world with fireworks. I'm going to leave the world with fireworks. So if I pass away and it's like winter, wait until like nicer weather and have fireworks. So she was cremated and we were going to have like our memorial for her. So we had it on Mother's Day, and she had a cottage in Sable Beach. So we went to Sable Beach, and she wanted her ashes to be spread at a certain place where she could see the cottage and see the beach, right? So we had to find the perfect location, and we had a little ceremony. And it was cloudy that day too, but I guess because May, it's spring, so it's like spring showers. And my grandfather, who likes to, well, he passed away too, but he likes to sing. He was singing Amazing Grace. And he was singing Amazing Grace as we're spreading the ashes. And then the sun came out again.
Wow.
Like just for that moment, like just maybe a minute or something. And then it went back away. So she does that, and there's a certain song that always comes on. Even if it's like now over 20 years old, it will still come on randomly somehow. And it's not even a popular song. So that's a sign for me also.
Well, thank you so much, Mom, for coming on my channel and sharing your stories.
You're welcome.
And let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if you have any stories that you'd like to share, we would love nothing more than to hear them. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell if you want to get notified when I upload my next video. And remember, do all things with love and kindness. And I love you. See you next week.
Love you too.